Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live stream. We are talking with Nick, who has recently made his way into IT from a completely different uh, industry entirely. And I thought it would be great to have a discussion and to ask him a bunch of questions pertaining to how he got into this position and what sort of job he's doing at the moment. So join me in welcoming Nick. Nick, how's it going, man?
Good man, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just I literally just got back from a gym session about 20 seconds ago, and then like ran in here to try and get this going because I lost track of time and yeah, you know how it is. But anyway, I have a bunch of questions here, 7 questions in total, to ask you about
Yep.
essentially how you made your way into IT, and we'll get to more of the questions a little bit later. But before we get into that more, tell us a little bit about yourself, like what you're doing at the moment, what job you were doing prior to getting into IT, and yeah, just some background info on yourself.
Um, yeah, thanks, DC. So my name is Nick. I'm 25 years old. Prior to ID, I was just doing, as you probably say, dead-end jobs. So something like retail or hospitality, where you didn't really have much to grow. And I was just thinking what I actually want to do in life. And just a simple Google search of Googling what are like the most progressing careers in the future are, and the first one that came out was cybersecurity. And
Nice.
after that, I started searching up more about cybersecurity on YouTube. And luckily for me, I found your channel. I think it was one of the videos of like the first steps you gotta take if you want to join cybersecurity.
Yep.
Um,
Nice.
then I've joined a Discord channel. I had a chat to you, a couple other guys, and the main thing was and the main thing was pretty much, look, if you want to join cybersecurity, you got to learn the basics of IT, and for that, a good idea is to do something like CompTIA A plus, which will give you
Yep.
just the fundamentals. And I had a look, did a few practice tests, and I was like, well, maybe I should try something a bit easier. And I found they actually have like ITF plus, which is like much simpler exam. Did that, passed it pretty quick. Then did
Nice. Nice.
my core one, and um, after I passed my core one, I got another job within a different industry where I was getting paid pretty good. But still, like I wanted to do IT. Um, I had passion for it, as you say.
Fair enough.
And
Nice.
I think it was about 3 weeks before A plus was going to expire, because they renew every 3 years.
Yep.
And but I didn't pass my core two yet, so I was like, I gotta smash it. So I think it was 3 weeks. I smashed core two, passed the exam, and I was like, thank God. And after that, um, I didn't really like the job I was doing at that time, so I've started just searching for jobs on Seek. You just go Seek, and you're
Mhm.
like, anything entry, please.
Yeah.
Just sending resumes. Ah, and prior to sending resumes, big shout out to you because I remember how I sent you my existing resume at the time, and you were like, "Look, take away this one and add this and this," and I was like, "Perfect." So I had a
I
resume already built by someone who's like
I hope I
industry
wasn't
for
too
a long
rude.
time.
Yeah. I hope I
No,
wasn't too
it was
brutal about
good.
that. Okay, that's good.
No,
That's good.
it was good. It was just like it looks alright, but take away this and this was like easy, no dramas.
Nice, nice.
So the looking for job process, I think it took me about 2 to 3 weeks to find a job. So
Okay.
I was pretty much I was like I'm new to the industry. I have no experience, but I do have some knowledge, some certs, and some experience dealing with computers.
Yep.
So pretty much every day, like 5, 6 jobs, send resumes, and like a really good thing to do if you want to find a job in IT ASAP is if you do get rejected, to just basically call up and be like, look, have you got like a couple of minutes to discuss it? Like, I just want to know the reason, like, is my maybe experience or certain certs I don't have. And quite a few people were happy to just explain. They're like, hey, yeah, we're looking for someone with more experience, or looking for someone with CCNA, or like that. And within two to 3 weeks, I found a job. So I went to the interview. They liked me, offered me a job, and yeah, that's how my IT career started.
Awesome. Okay, so what was that job, if you don't mind me asking, just prior to getting into IT?
I did a bit of law enforcement.
Okay,
Uh, yeah,
cool.
um,
That's
which
interesting.
was interesting job to do. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean, like
absolutely.
quite good skills to have, I guess.
Yeah, probably some interesting life skills out of that one. I would imagine, which
Yeah.
is yeah. I mean, it's a good stepping stone to sort of get a job and then move more towards that IT role. With the job that you're doing at the moment, um, what's the job title that you currently have, and what's like a normal day at work for you?
Okay, so this is my third IT job, and the name of it is pretty much IT support officer slash, you would say, system administrator,
Yep.
where basically I'm a FIFO worker who flies to site um, for about 8 days per fortnight and making sure the mining sites operate as they should in terms of IT. So to make sure that the software is working, if somebody needs some software, just basic installation. If I need to set up an office for like drilling site, just basically set up the machines.
Yep.
Um, then good old AD, so aiding users, making sure they have relevant access, going through approval process to make sure you just basically follow this least privilege um, model. So my work day is from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. I
Wow, that's a
will
long
get
shift.
to work. Yeah, yeah. It's not short, and plus at the moment it's like 40 degrees plus,
Whoa.
and even at like 5, 6 o'clock, it's still like 38 and stuff.
That sounds pretty
Um,
brutal, to be completely honest. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. The only reason I'm wearing a jumper is because I got like aircon at like 18 degrees inside at the moment. So,
fair enough.
um, but yeah, I'll get to work. My work is probably about 5 minutes. My little office is like 5 minutes away from the camp. Get to the office, go through the ticket board, make sure, like, just plan out the things I can do today, because some of the things, like example, if the user is like off swing and they're coming back like in a week, obviously something like that I'll just schedule. But normally I'll just have a list of things I need to do today, and
Yep.
plus I'm the only IT guy managing like 4 sites, like physically there. So basically my role is like unsupervised. So I just basically have tickets and projects, and I just need to smash them. Um,
Get
yeah,
through them as fast as possible. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well,
yeah.
that's pretty interesting. I mean, that's a pretty diverse kind of role where you'd be tackling all sorts of um, different technologies and pieces of information throughout the day. So that is definitely interesting. As far as like a first position in IT is concerned, for sure. um,
Probably third. So this is the third position. Sorry.
Third position. Okay. So wait, what were the
Yeah.
other two before this one then?
So the first one I did, I feel like everyone else would probably something that everyone starts with the help desk. So it's MSP.
Oh,
I
okay.
worked
Yep.
there, which was a great place to grow, like a great stepping stone to learn how things work and get the experience. After that, I went to a medical sector. So
Okay.
basically, there are clinics, and you just managing like 200 to 300 users, and you need to attend clinics if you can't solve the problem
Yep.
remotely.
Right. Okay. So okay, that's an interesting stepping stone then from help desk to those medical clinics to then this job in mining sites. That's definitely an interesting stepping stone to take. How long in
Yeah.
between, like how long were you working at each of those jobs for?
MSP was about 6 months,
Yeah,
and I found out because I was working full time plus I was doing TAFE as well. It was quite difficult, so I was looking for something part time after, and working in the medical um, sector. They were offering a part time role, which gave me enough 3 days per week to just focus on my study. Um, that's why I went, and I probably worked in the medical sector close to a year, and then um, I was focusing more on like buying a house and making more money. So
yep.
if you want to make more money in IT, you gotta go to FIFA, um, or like you can get some government jobs which require security clearance, but that's a bit longer process.
For sure, for sure. Um, Okay, so before I get to the next question, actually, if anyone who's watching this has any questions, please do put them in the chat and I'll go through them at the end. But yeah, just get them in the chat. It'll get the screen full of chat messages about questions, which is going to help make this look a little bit nicer. So on to my next question. What are the tools that you use on a day-to-day basis at work, like the kinds of technologies that you're working with primarily?
Um, Quite a few of those systems are managed like an example, Meraki, Unify. So basically, I will be able to just log into the consoles and I'll be able to see whether there's, um, but I wouldn't say layer two, I would just say switches, just for difference in the audience. So like I'll see that some switches are down or some wireless access points are down within certain sites, and I can go in and investigate. Um, so that's probably the two biggest one to manage network devices. In terms of the actual cabling, like I probably would use only barely. I would use something like a cable tester
Yep.
or like a tone generator as well if I just need to find a cable patch somewhere. Um, but mostly it's just like everything is just managed through the computer and management consoles. That's pretty much it. In terms of, I mean, like I can mention something as classic as AD, but mm, it's just basic stuff like users and stuff. When we're talking about migration or anything like that.
Okay, so with AD, would that be more on-premise AD or like a mix of maybe like a hybrid
Um,
environment where there's an Azure AD or Entra, I think it's now called, as well as
y-
AD on-prem?
yeah, yeah. So you'll use Aza, or some people pronounce it differently as well. Yeah, you'll use Aza, you'll use Exchange Admin Center, Office 365, like just pretty much classics. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. I've just seen a question that I have to ask you because it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
relative to the technologies and tools. It's from James Beamish. Welcome back, dude. Good to see you in the live stream. The question is, what's the weirdest thing you've seen on the camp Wi-Fi?
The weirdest thing. Uh,
I bet you've
so
seen some weird stuff come across it.
well, when you have appropriate firewall rules, you don't really see that stuff because it just gets blocked.
True.
Um, so it's not like, so you don't let your users access something which can be potentially harmful to your system, and why I have firewall. So I can see like traffic, like I can go and I can see like apps they use,
Yep.
but I won't be able to actually go and like analyze. I'm not going to be going and trying to Wireshark and see the actual like websites they're trying to access.
On the
So
Meraki
yeah, it's
dashboard, though, if you go on the Meraki dashboard and you see, like, you want to look at one particular device, you can click on that device and inspect traffic, um, show stuff up there if you really want. But yeah, I
yeah.
mean, you're probably not
I
going in there and looking around too often.
Yeah, like I have a unified console to manage everything, and I can see the apps which are being used most of the times. and like it would be pretty much the basic stuff like YouTube, Netflix, and so on. Um, I saw Tinder before, but I was like, you're in the middle of a desert. I mean, like, yeah, give it a try. But
Give it a try, but
um,
probably not going to have too much luck on the odds,
yeah,
unless there's another workmate who's potentially out on site in the mines, also on Tinder at that point.
true,
I mean, yeah, you
true.
never
But
know.
I feel like in the area where I currently work, it's more probably gonna be more grinder because it's not that many female stuff. So yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'd love to ask you. Yeah, I won't go there. On to the the next question. Um, what's an expectation that you had getting into IT that was totally different to what you thought? Like, what's an expectation versus reality type situation that stands out for you?
Expectation. Hmm.
Yeah, like you
Mm,
expected it to be like this, but it turned out to be like that. But one of those type of situations.
I guess the expectation was um, like it's a hard one because I didn't really like have I normally don't have expectations because when you tend to have expectations regardless of what it is and it doesn't tend to be that way, you get disappointment. So for me
True.
it was more like I mean, like, apart from like, I love what I do, like my job and so on. But maybe expectations would be just a bit different to like lifestyle I have at the moment. So, an example, I'll be like, oh, I didn't know it will be. Well, I didn't know it's gonna be hot, but I mean, like, maybe facilities, but it's quite irrelevant to the IT, to be honest, with
Fair enough.
expectations. I mean, like, I definitely understood how much I do not know about IT, um, like to the level I can know stuff, as like if it makes sense. Basically, the more you're in any industry, the more you kind of understand or how much you actually don't know. Like at the moment, like when I study something like Linux, right? I'm like, well, it's so many things I don't know about the system, and it's been used like it's a must to know if you want to do cybersecurity, to be honest.
Yeah.
Or like scripting, like that's something I'm not that good at, so that's something I need to know. And then like the more you're trying to progress, so like as long as you want to progress further and learn new technologies and make more money, the more you're gonna find out, the more things you don't know yet. And I mean, like with the IT in general, because there are so many technologies coming up and the industry progressing, and with AI coming up as a big thing, there is always going to be, it's like sky is the limit, you know?
Yeah.
So you're always going to be learning, always,
For sure.
if you
I
want to.
think
Yeah.
that's definitely something within the industry, which is that you do sort of never stop learning. I know since way back when I first got into IT, it's been a never-ending learning experience since the beginning. Sometimes a little bit harder than others, but yeah, I mean, if you stick to it, you'll find your own successes. There's a comment that came through that said the expectations that never show up is existing documentation and understanding of the scope of work when I sign on. Absolutely, documentation seems to be a bit of a unicorn sometimes, where it just a lot of people sort of say, you know, this exists, but then you go and like look for it, and you're like, it doesn't exist. This is a load of shit. It doesn't actually exist on here at all. Which is fair enough. Before the comments disappear, there is one question that I saw from the very beginning, which was from Andersek. He said, many people are struggling to get into the field, even though they have some certs under their belt. What would you say helped you stand out from other applicants who were uh, getting, who were also applying for the same jobs as you? Like, what really made you stand out against those applications?
So I just want to get it clear that certs don't get you a job. You can have 10 certs, but your troubleshooting skills might not have a logical model. So certs don't equal getting a high pay job unless we're talking about like is it CSSP or like high certs. So certs really, as someone told me before, they give you an entrance to an interview room, okay?
Yeah.
And in the interview room, based on your experience, if you don't have experience and you're just like entry level, you're looking for entry level, like based on what like I would look at the position and I'll be like, okay, so I know this, and I'm just gonna basically tell them how I know like this material, like what's for me is a firewall and things like that. So I'm just gonna explain it to them and say that like the way I got my first job, I was basically I came in there and I looked at the job description and I went through every single line and said that's what it means to me. And I wanna learn, I wanna work, that's my certs. Um, basically you just wanna tell them that you match this job role and that you're willing to work and learn in the same time. Um, for me, also important thing is you applying for the job and just like click apply and send your resume on Seek won't do anything because there's going to be another 100 people which do the same. So if you want to stand out, you call them 2 days after, 3 days after, and you just say, oh, look, like I applied for this job, I want this job, and I just wanted to see how's my resume progressing and like whether you guys had a look or anything. And that's actually how like yeah, I got this job is because I applied for it. I didn't have a reply for about 4 days. I called them and I'm like, look, I want the job and I just want to let you know and I just want to double check if you had a look at it. And I got an interview interview call 6 hours later, basically telling me to come and
Damn.
have a chat. Um, so
That's
for you to
pretty good.
stand out,
That's a good result.
you just go, yeah, you just gotta go beyond just clicking, like apply. You also gotta call and follow up. And a good thing, as I said before, when you just want to join the industry and you get rejected, is to call people and just ask them nicely, will it have 2 minutes to explain? Well, maybe you just didn't match the experience or you don't have enough certs. Um, yeah, and like I literally had like a notepad file where like every day I'll be like having 5 or 6 jobs I applied for, and I'll say like rejected or no answer or like interview.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to track things as well. I haven't had that experience myself, but I have mentioned to people to note down the jobs that are actually replying to a certain point so that you can keep track, because it becomes a point where you'll get calls from people and you'll be like, oh, yeah, yeah, sure, I'll come in for an interview. And you're like, what was this job about? Like, what was I
Yeah.
actually applying for? It's let's dive in a little bit and take a look at what I was actually applying for with this one, especially when you're doing like 5 or 6 applications a day. This leads into the next question fairly well, which is another question from the same person, which said, what are some differences between learning on your own and learning at your job? You mentioned that when you went for those interviews, you were saying, I'm happy to learn while I'm here, and I'm, happy to progress as much as I can. Um, so, like, how much does your job define your learning, and do you have time after work to do some self-learning, or is that even necessary to do learning after work?
100%. So if you want to make more money and you want to achieve certain roles, you gotta learn after work. Like sometimes you gotta basically Saturday night somebody's asking you out, but you gotta like you got some like study you gotta do, right? So
Yeah,
sometimes you gotta prioritize things. Like you have goals, right? So it's I don't know, the year just started. You put goals and you work towards them, and then you know that basically in the end, whatever was required from you, you did it to the 100% you could. In terms of learning on the job, so when you actually go to an interview, you can always ask the employer like what they can. So what I like to do is I normally ask in the end. So in the first place they interview me, and then I start interviewing them, asking the questions of like what the employer can offer me. And one of the questions would be definitely whether they sponsor things like certs or whether they provide on-site training. Because I mean, like, you don't have to pay for certs pretty much, as long as you. So they'll pay for exam. Obviously, you got to put time to study something, but they'll pay for exam as a common practice. It depends on the day. Like for me, because I work 6 till 6, sometimes there are quiet days. Sometimes there are really busy days when I don't really have time to like learn much on a job. I mean, like just working itself, you do learn quite a lot. But if an example like senior tech said, look, there is a spare server you can use, and you can just basically set it up, and you'll learn how to set up a server with a vSphere, ESXi, and you can use it. It's there. So like it's like now it's for me because they gave me an opportunity. They gave me the hardware. Now it's up to me to just basically connect it and start playing with it. So that's just my little sandbox where I can set it up and look. I have another skill. I can set up a server with vSphere and ESXi. It's something I already done. So you already got experience. Um, so while if you're learning on your own, like I did CompTIA Plus, yes, you have knowledge, but as soon as you've learned it and you passed the exam, it's good to apply that knowledge. Or like if you want to be in cybersecurity, a good platform like Try Hack Me or Hack the Box is perfect ground for you to just basically practice your skills.
For sure. Absolutely. Um, Going back to the job that you're currently working in, what would you say is your favorite part of that job?
Um,
Like, is there a
favorite part.
particular technology that you like working with, or a particular piece of the job that you enjoy doing, or yeah, like what's your favorite part about the job that you're currently working in?
Well, in general, I like to work with people, so hence why I probably cannot see myself as a programmer or just being and sitting in front of a computer and just programming. I gotta have that human interaction. So I do like basically the main focus of help desk or like support officer or system administrator, and it's just basically solving the puzzles. So you have tickets, there's a problem, and you establish a theory, then you try it, see if it worked, then you document it, and then it goes on and goes on. So it's basically just like puzzles. So, but also I really like the fact that because my role is unsupervised, I can pretty much build my own day. I don't need to be like micromanaged like I'm at MSP. Just basically you have freedom, and you can travel across the sites, and you can also just have a chat with like other workers, like stakeholders, and you just basically build a relationship with people. So it doesn't always have to be just about sitting in front of a computer. You go there, you talk to them, and be like, "Oh yeah, I got this problem," and you resolve it. So this is. I feel like I don't think I'll be able to do it something IT if there wouldn't be like human interaction.
Yeah,
Like I wouldn't want just like trying to, I don't know, look for 0 day, like for exploit and just sit in front of a computer. I feel that it would be a bit boring for me. But like
fair
also a beauty of system administrator is that you have different technologies you deal with. So like networking, some part can be security. Um, yeah, it's just like you do a lot of things. Unlike some jobs, you can be like, oh, this is our AD guy, so he's only focused on AD. Like some really big companies, they will have people like server guy only does service. Like we go
yeah,
to him does for service. So yeah.
yeah. So that's interesting. Um, there's a question here that's come through that's very similar to my last question. So I'll ask them both at the same time. My question was, where do you see yourself in 2 to 5 years? And do you plan on moving up in the company you're working for? The question that the person watching asked was, do you have a roadmap that you are following to a particular dream role, or are you looking to see where the industry takes you?
Um, I do have a roadmap for 2024. So I want to get my CCNA. I want to finish my Cert 4 in cybersecurity, maybe get a bit in like penetration testing,
Yep.
just like hack the box and stuff. So that's pretty much my goals at the moment. However, you might think like, okay, I want to be cyber, like that's what like most new people do. They say, oh, I want to be ethical hacker. I want to be penetration tester because it sounds cool, and you're like a part of this red team, like super cool. But then they look at the reports of like 60 pages they need to fill in, and like, oh, you know, and
A lot
or
of
maybe you
reporting.
just like, and
Yeah,
then
there
yeah,
is a lot
yeah,
of
a lot of
reporting.
reporting. Yeah, but also like there's more demand for blue team guys who like defend the systems rather than attack.
100%.
So at the moment, I wanna master my networking skills, so I can take my troubleshooting to a different level within networks, and just a bit of more security based, like with the TAFE course I do at the moment, and then I'll see how I go. Maybe they'll have a position for me within to like of a network engineer within the company, so I can just move up to that position. So it's just I feel like I try not to like regardless of if it's IT or not, just make sure you do your part of the job. Be like I've done everything I could, depending on me, and maybe like by the time you have CCNA, they have like a different role, or by the time they need a new guy for this role, they'll be like, oh well, we have this one who has everything, you know. So see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good plan. Keep your options sort of open there. Have you heard of the CMNO? It's the Cisco Meraki network operator certificate. It's a free, or it used to be free anyway. I'm not sure if it still is. Certification from Cisco Meraki on basically how to use their um, their dashboard and to configure devices across the Meraki um, system. So I'm curious if you've sort of come across that, or if it's something you'd consider as well. Because if you're trying to move into the networking space, especially in cloud networking, which you're currently working in with either Meraki or Unified devices, um, I mean that might be a good option for you to look into.
Yeah, that's something my employer did mention to me before. So I'm probably gonna do it maybe in a couple of months, because like I already deal with this like things every day, so I might as well get a cert, you know, so I have something documented,
Maybe,
so I
yeah. I
know how
mean,
to use them.
if it's not
Yeah,
free anymore, definitely ask your employer to pay for it, because if
yeah,
it's relative
yeah,
to the job that you're currently doing, might as well. I mean, that's what I'd be doing if it was me. I did the same thing with a checkpoint certification, where an organization was moving from Juniper devices to Checkpoint um, firewall devices. And I did the migration. I had no knowledge of Checkpoint prior to this, which was a bit sketchy. But um, yeah, they basically said afterwards, they're like, oh, so now you can like manage the firewalls and do. I was like, I can, but can you pay for a certification for me to do so I can like have that on my resume? Because just saying like I did a firewall migration is all great and everything. But if I have the certification to back me up, then when I apply for
yeah,
another job, which I'm gonna do at some point, that will look good on my resume. And they're like, yeah, sure, sure. So yeah, I mean, you might as well get the certification now. I think that's probably
yeah. I'll,
something
I'll,
probably worthwhile.
I'll
Yeah,
definitely address that. Yeah.
for sure. There's one last question I want to ask from the comment section. And if anyone has any other questions for me to ask Nick, please put them in the chat. But for now, there's one here that says, have you ever had imposter syndrome? And if you have, how have you dealt with
Um, I feel like I'm gonna look so uneducated, but I don't know what imposter syndrome is.
it? Imposter syndrome is essentially where you go into a job and you feel like you know absolutely nothing about it, even though you've studied for it. Or done some sort of education piece on it. Like you know about it in theory, but you perhaps not done the job before. I can give an example of when I've had imposter syndrome. So way back when I was trying to move from, I was doing computer repairs. I had a computer repair shop of my own. I wanted to move out of that into networking. So I did a CCNA and started applying for networking jobs. I went to do to a few interviews and got a job as a network engineer. Sold that computer repair business, and my first week or first maybe first month actually, I felt like even though I had studied and done the CCNA, I knew absolutely nothing about the job. I was going home every single day, uh, looking at packet tracer, messing about with different sorts of network diagrams, trying to draw up my own network diagrams that matched what I'd learned in the CCNA and trying to match them with what was at that organization. It turns out that the place that I was working, their documentation sucked and their diagrams were very subpar, which is why I was sort of struggling to understand what the hell was going on, which is probably, now that I think about it, why they employed someone with a CCNA to begin with. But yeah, that's my example of imposter syndrome. Since then, there's been multiple times throughout my career where I've had moments where I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, what is this? I need to learn about it. Um, that's essentially imposter syndrome and my own example. So have you experienced imposter syndrome before? Or?
I feel like the most I experienced was when I started the first job at MSP, when people were explaining to me like like the stuff I learned at CompTIA was probably about 20 or 30%, like 70% of stuff like I didn't even know, like they were talking to me about um, like how stuff is set up in like vSphere, and because like another I was the only guy who was doing, like, if an example there was a backup failure and stuff like that, I would like try to investigate, but then I'll bring it up to like senior tag. Uh, but I don't know why I was doing it in the first place, because all that stuff was so advanced, and I mean, like, it was explained to me slowly to understand how some things works. But I mean, like, I've just started, and this seemed to me like level 3 stuff when I was just like basic level 1. And a few other things. Yeah, MSP was first 3 months. I was like, whoa, I know so less, like, about all the stuff.
Yeah,
Like, I was just so, I was like, all those rules for like firewall and stuff, and like they wouldn't necessarily address the ticket to me, but like even if I hear people talking about it, because some tickets tend to be so much more complicated, and lucky for me, I was the one who grabbed it from the desk, right? Um, I was like, so yeah, I was, and plus also when you go from one industry to another one where you just go to entry position, there is a big um, jump down in terms of salary. So an example, I probably was doing only like half, like I was making only half of what I was making before. So I was like, oh, just, like doing all these computers, like drilling through hard drives and shit like that, while I could be doing like all the chases and all this fun stuff. Um, and yeah, like sometimes you just be like, well, I don't know this stuff and that stuff. But it's just like hard times you gotta go through. But also similar things happen, not that much like at my current job, but there are definitely, that's why I feel like I'm lacking a lot in terms of networking, because yeah, anything like remote, it's normally either like satellite or it's point to point, and certain troubleshooting stuff. Like I always have that OSI model in my head, where you go like through layers and you isolating the
yep,
problem. But an
that's a good
example,
way.
I think 2 days ago, yeah, 2 days ago, where like Wi-Fi would drop out every morning, and it would happen like for 4 days, 3 days, and like after restarting the switches which were like in daisy chain, so it wouldn't make no sense because it wouldn't follow that model. And then when I had to get like a senior tech involved as well,
Did you say
basically the problem was,
daisy chain switches? They weren't
yeah,
stacked or
well, they didn't get like the link, like you go from the main building to the next one, and then so basically if one drops out, then the rest drop out.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
There's no redundancy set up there. I'm just seeing alarm bells here. This is a terrible design. There's, oh my god.
The way this structure was set up a long time ago, and yeah, it definitely needs to be changed because yeah, like if you have, but the problem wasn't really in the switch in the daisy chain. The problem was within the application layer, which was going like beyond that your classic 4-layer troubleshooting where you just go like data physical network and like transmission like TCP and UDP. So it was going beyond that where basically Unify had quite a few updates, and because the rest of the system wasn't updated, like it kept doing this thing because basically updating the whole thing kind of, and then you had to downgrade certain features like protect access talk in order to be able to update the OS. So it was basically a nightmare, right? But this was so like there was a big thing is if you don't know something and you know that you have already not wasted, but you already spent quite a bit of time troubleshooting something, you need to just basically escalate it because otherwise, it's not going anywhere.
For sure.
And yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so to wrap things up here, for any new players trying to get into the IT industry as a whole, do you have any advice for them for those people who want to get into IT as an industry in general?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is learn the fundamentals. For me, it was A plus stuff. CompTIA A plus, the best set for fundamentals. Definitely recommend, and have as much hands-on experience as you can. Just with um, like if you're studying something like a cert, don't just like study and be like, oh, I know in my head. Like go and try it out, see how it works. If you're studying about how to like packet tracer. Yeah, look, yeah, packet tracer could be packet tracer, netcat, so like some apps like that you can just use to basically, like you don't even need to have hardware. You can just have it like virtually set up. Yeah, so get like a basic cert, make sure you know what you're doing and it's not just theory, and then get your first job as soon as you can. Just basically be eager to learn, and when the employer can see it, they want to give a job to someone who wants to work and wants to learn.
Awesome. Good advice. I like it. Stay persistent, keep learning, and yeah, just basically get into that job as soon as you can with pure determination. Some good advice. Thank you very much for having a chat with me today. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and thank you for staying up late to do this session with us. Um, if anyone has
No problem.
any other questions that you would like to ask, please drop them in the comments below. If you're enjoying these live streams, if you want me to do more live streams, I haven't done a live stream since early 2023. So it's been a long while for me to do sort of a longer form video like this. But if you are enjoying this, please let me know in the comments after this video is published. If you want to see more live streams, if you want me to do more interviews with people, please let me know so that I can organize that and get it sorted. But yeah, thanks again for coming along, dude. It's been a pleasure having a chat. And yeah,
No
I
problem.
really appreciate your time tonight. So thank you.
It's been my pleasure too. Thank you, DC.
No worries. And I'm going to stop the stream here. I won't put any more sound effects in. I accidentally clicked on the Careless Whisper button before, so I started playing Careless Whisper saxophone, which was fantastic. But anyway, I'll end the stream here. And thanks everyone for coming along. It's been good to hear from you and to see your comments in the chat. So cheers, and I'll talk to you all soon.
See you guys.